All right, good afternoon once again, and I'd like to welcome you to this class. Uh, Prior to this time, we've been considering the second section of the course content for this second semester, and the second section, which is mainly of four topics, where we have application of legal materials. And that's the major topic, which covers legal research, covers identification of books, and briefing of cases and note taking. And the last topic there is use of authority in legal argument and writing. And when we took the first topic, which is legal research, again, we looked at what legal research is, look at how and why is there legal research. Then we moved on to look at the library, what the library is, the role of the librarian. We also considered identification of books, classification system, tracing a particular book, and also the library catalog, which of course comprises of the card and the electronic catalog. Then still under this, we look at statutes. Thereon, we considered what statutes is all about, and we identify the four different types, which includes the federal, the states, and the local government, and also subsidiary legislation. And upon completion of that subtopic, we took on law reports, which is also known as case reporting. And under that, we look at the history of case reporting, the types that we have, and the features of a law report. And lastly, how to locate a case. And in that same line, we will continue with the topic of today, which is the fifth division of the first topic in section 2, which is on application of legal materials. And that's why we'll be dealing with periodicals and journals. And then we'll also look at the sixth one, which is the reference books. Okay, but the first lecture today is going to be on periodicals and journals. I want to believe you can hear me loud and clear. Please, if you can't, or if you can, kindly indicate just by a wave or just by, just give me an indication that the class can hear me clearly.
You can hear you,
Okay,
sir.
thank you. Yeah, thank you very much for the confirmation. So we take on the topic, periodicals and journals. By way of introduction, we submit that in legal research and practice, that it is not enough to rely solely on statute and case law, even on law reports, but lawyers must also learn to consult secondary materials. So when you speak to lawyers here, we also refer to you who are undergoing training to become one. As a matter of fact, we consider you as lawyers in equity. Okay, so And is to further buttress the fact that statutes and case law alone are not sufficient when legal research, when you are to engage in legal research and practice. And we have added that there is need to consult what we refer to as secondary materials. And also, these secondary materials include the topic of this course this day, which is periodicals, journals, reference books, scholarly opinions, critiques, and analysis that are published in different books, which summarily puts, bring about the name periodicals or journals. So, aside those two that we have dealt with, which are the case law, the law, the statute, and all of that, all these other secondary materials constitutes essential tools that can be or should be engaged in legal research. So, because the periodicals, the journals, and the reference books are the lifeblood of continuing legal education and research. I repeat that again, that these are the lifeblood of continuing legal education and research. As we progress in the course of the lecture, you will understand what we mean by that. So, there is a continuous flow of scholarly opinions that will continue to come up on the case laws, even on the available statutes that guides our affairs as a nation or as a country. And whether we like it or not, this circle will continue. And what they do, these secondary materials talk about opinions, critics, analysis, and all of that. Helps lawyers, judges, and even academics and students as well to stay informed about current developments, even current debates and emerging trends in law. So, therefore, periodicals which constitute secondary materials are viable tools which we have described as lifeblood of continuing legal education. And that's to say that even though we have our laws already written, clearly written, defined, and already being applied to our day-to-day life, aspects or different parts of these laws are engaged in our daily lives, whether in litigation or whether administratively, and so on and so forth. So therefore, as long as they come in contact or interaction with our lives every day, there will be need to interrogate some of them because some of them may appear not to be uh, not to be sufficient or to meet the need for which those laws were enacted. And then sometimes new laws, new developments, come up from these positions that are being applied in our current jurisprudence. And therefore, that again speaks of the importance of secondary materials such as periodicals and journals. But mind you, one of our major focus is how these materials becomes useful for us. And that is what we are bringing to your notice. And that is what constitutes the crux of the lectures that we are having on uh, on the application of legal materials. So, moving on, we want to understand what, I mean, these materials, how crucial are they? Why on earth do we need them? Do we need to engage them? Or do we need them in our daily practice, either legal practice or uh, or in our academic journey? The reasons are not far-fetched. Number one is that if you are to engage in good academic writing, you need to have access to journals, periodicals, or other scholarly published materials. And in there, they contain various opinions, they contain various views, they contain various arguments and debates. And all of these are parts of what makes the academic writing to be very rich. So that's one of the reasons why these materials are crucial to us as students, both as students, as legal practitioners, as judges, and even as students. Again, it's crucial because we engage them in legal practice. We engage in legal drafting, we engage in litigation, and we even provide uh, professional advice to our clients. How then are we going to be able to achieve the end of providing uh, uh, a good professional advice if we do not have sufficient knowledge of the subjects that we are dealing with? I know very soon there will be publications or reaction on the judgment that was delivered by the Court of Appeal few days ago on issue of tenancy or the on or the issues pertaining abuse of court processes. And this case that was just decided on the 17th has come up to be the longest tenancy matter in our history, going by that report, which is to the effect that the matter lasted in court for 17 years. And of course, when I was going through the judgment, I was scanning through the judgment, I saw it's just hello class. So I will have to you give me some minutes. I need to move to another location. All right, so just give me some few minutes to relocate to another venue. I will be with you shortly.
Okay. Okay, don't lie. This next one. Okay. 3:30 to 5. Let's go. What to do first? Glad to have you. Give us a video. I trust. Don't worry. I was very happy that you guys came. I didn't want to come up before. So when you hear us laughing at it? Yeah. Said, like it's good deal. It's a good day that we are laughing together. And I'm very naughty. What's about my vessel? So once of
Mute your mic, Emmanuel.
Hi guys, sorry for the break in transmission. I hope you can hear me. Hello, class. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Yes, sir, we can hear you, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
So we're talking about understanding how important these materials are. And I've explained the role they play in academic writing. And I'm talking about the legal practice, how we engage them. And I was speaking about the recent judgment of the Court of Appeal, which has been reported to bring about the longest tenancy matter in the history of jurisprudence. And like I said, in no distant time, there will be reactions, reviews on the case. And this is one of the means by which our law develops. And with that, there will be different opinions from different scholars. As a matter of fact, there will be people who disagree with the court on the submission made thereon. And again, whatever view is held in all of these journals or materials or opinions will continue to add to the body of knowledge that exists in our jurisprudence. Also, these materials, they are also valuable for policy formulation. Just like you know and you agree with me that no man is an island of knowledge or even of anything at all. So even when our lawmakers are saddled with the responsibility duty to interpret law and consequently also bring about new laws by the exercise, by the decisis. You will still discover that the court will express views and opinions which eventually become what we call case law. So when there are policies to be developed, the various views expressed by courts, the intention of the lawmaker in formulating a particular law, and so on and so forth, even opinions and views and submissions of learned authors oftentimes form parts of what are used in having formulating policies, maybe governmental policies and other different policies, of course, that are needed for smooth running of any organization or country. Then again, another importance that we can attach to it is law reform advocacy. And like I said, the recent judgment that came out on that tenancy issue, abuse of corporate having to stay in a place that is not yours for almost 15 years, not wanting to pay rent by virtue of the fact that the matter is sub judice and all of that. Some of these decisions, some of these facts helps in developing our laws. As a matter of fact, I was reviewing, trying to look at the judgment and to submit that there should be a reform to guide the practice where, because a matter is sub judice, an individual who is a tenant who is occupying the property of a landlord will remain in possession of that property as long as the appeal lasts, without rent payments, without increments in rent to meet current market rates, and so on and so forth. These are issues that will definitely come up when scholars begin to review that judgment, begin to add their opinion, begin to add their view, they begin to criticize it, begin to put same in debate to be able to see or see the views of various scholars or individuals. So these are the reasons why these materials, these secondary materials that we're considering are very crucial. Now, then therefore, we move on to ask the most salient question of this discourse, which is, what are legal periodicals and journals? That is a question that forms part of the foundation of our discussion, even though we've had to talk about why these materials, legal materials, are important to us. We also need to define what this subject is all about. So in answering the questions, what are legal periodicals and journals? We say that legal periodicals are publications issued at regular intervals, which can be weekly, can be monthly, can be quarterly, or yearly. And they contain legal writings, case notes, articles, book reviews, and legislative commentaries. These are what we refer to as legal periodicals. And if they are done weekly, meaning that they take issues as they appear, as they present themselves every week. And if at a time that are done monthly as well, they are also they also represent the issues that happens within the month. But as the case may be, they contain legal writings, they contain case notes, they contain articles, even reviews or opinion that are made on other legal writings. Those are what we call periodicals. And maybe if we look at the word periodic or a period, we suggest that they are not a kind of documents that just exist, but they work by time, by period. And that's why we have it in form of weekly periodicals, monthly, meaning that they are published or they are released or they are issued at this point or this period. Also, journals. Journals are type of periodicals that focus on scholarly legal concepts. It can be usually peer-reviewed, discussing legal concepts, discussing cases, discussing statutes, and so on and so forth. But what they do in this form is that these journals provide what we call detailed or in-depth analysis of legal issues, where there will be opinions and there will be ground for the submissions and so on and so forth. So that's what, excuse me, just one second. Class. Hello?
Yes, sir.
Legal issues. And that's why when you pick different journals, you see the different views expressed on different types of issues. And most times, some issues can just be just a concept, and then the entire article or legally structured work will provide detailed explanation, we provide detailed reviews that brings to light some basic things that the public needs to know. So that's on the definition of the subject of discourse, which are the periodicals and the journals. Now, it's important also that we look at the historical background of the subject matter. Now, legal periodicals date back to the 19th centuries when universities and law society began publishing scholarly writings to documents. Okay? And of course, it's still the system of of scholarly writing is today still an essential part of the academic life. Okay, so this was of the origin of legal periodicals, and all of that then deals with evolution of the law, debates on contentious issues, and the developments in legal jurisprudence. If you look at the foundation of the subject of discourse this day, you still discover that they still form the core reason or the core focus of periodicals and journals. They still engage in debates on contentious issues and even in developing our jurisprudence. Recently, we saw the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, declaring state of emergency in Rivers State. And then we had series of opinions, writings that came up to either defend the president's action or to condemn the action as one that is against the law or that is ultra vires the powers of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I personally saw articles that gave kudos to the President for declaring the state of emergency in Rivers State. I also saw some that berated the President for taking such a step in a democratically, in democracy. And just like yesterday, I saw a video clip of the Vice President, Senator Shettima, speaking against what his boss did by declaring state of emergency, and he made reference to when he was governor of Borno State, and the then President Jonathan mooted the idea of suspending him. In that video, he made reference to how the then Attorney General, if I'm correct, Adoke, and another governor, he made mention of Governor Aminu Tambuwa of then Taraba, or Sokoto, as the case may be, that they stood against the president's idea of suspending him, that the then Attorney General made it expressly clear in his submission. And that's one of the reasons why today he still holds the man in high esteem. He was bold to tell his principal that such an action is not known to law, that he cannot suspend a democratically elected governor. But under his own administration, his boss has done that. What I can assure you that in few days from now, if they're already not in circulation, we already have journals trying to compare the views of the vice president on the suspension of a democratically elected governor and the act of his principal, the President of the Federal Republic, in suspending the governor of Rivers State, Governor Similare Fubara. All of these issues are contentious, and those are the things that form the focus of journals, of articles that are published, within our society. So that's to say that the very foundation upon which the development of periodicals and journals were built is still very much relevant in our today Nigeria. So as part of the history, in Nigeria, the culture of legal periodicals started growing after independence in 1960 with the contributions from law faculties like the UNILAG, the University of Ibadan, even the Nigerian Law School, and also the Nigerian Bar Association. All of these were the bodies that contributed to the development of journals and periodicals. And till today, the universities, the law schools, and even the MBA still from time to time, as a matter of course and compulsion, if we must say, still produce journals and articles, even opinions on matters that pertains to the society. So that is just to talk about the brief history of periodicals and journals. I want to believe you can still hear me clearly at your end. Please, can you just indicate
Yes,
so
sir.
I know I'm not speaking to myself alone?
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
All right. Okay, that's fine. Thank you. So we move to another point on this discourse, which is the purpose of periodicals or journals. I have listed about 10 of them, and permit me to say that the 10 that we have listed here are not do not cover all that that stand or amount to the purpose of periodicals and journals. But we're going to take them one after the other in order to enrich ourselves on the subject. Number one is the development of legal thought. Journals shape the law by influencing judges, lawyers, and even legislators. I happen to be in a gathering where one of the justices of the Supreme Court of Nigeria, currently sitting, made mention of how the court benefit from scholarly publication of academics, because of course the honorable justice who was present in that occasion made reference to periodicals or legal writings emanating from the academics. And he said that they play a lot of role in the decision that they reach, even in court. That is to say that the court also consults those scholarly writing, especially the ones done by renowned authors in their own specialty. So they shape the law by influencing judges. They even influence lawyers in the kind of argument they put forward. So also the lawmakers. Examples, we have the Harvard Law Review. It has influenced the US judicial opinion so greatly that just like it does in our setting here in Nigeria, in other countries as well, they also play a critical role in helping to develop legal thought, which eventually becomes legal principles that further put the country on the right footing of development or legal development. The second one is what we call documentation of recent developments. The truth of the matter is that journals report on new cases, new statutes, or even international treaties that might not yet appear in textbooks or even law reports. But because the period within which a journal can be put out or a periodical is very short compared to when a textbook is to be written or even a law report, I can assure you that, okay, I just saw that judgment delivered by the appeal today. I'm very sure that if I do further research as of today, there will be evidence to show that many scholars have also expressed their views on that. In Nigeria, we have seen various analyses on the Electoral Act. Why the amendment that was done is not sufficient, why the current state of the Electoral Act is not sufficient to guarantee or to bring about a good electoral system. There will be diverse opinion on all of this, but what the journals and periodicals does is to facilitate the documentation of recent development. We have a third there, which is platform for debate. These periodicals serve this purpose, where lawyers and scholars use journals to debate constitutional issues, human rights, or even legal reforms. We have scholars in different areas of law, and when such issues, when there is need for such debate, you can see learned scholars in constitutional law putting up scholarly article on those subjects as it may pertain to the society at the point in time. And of course, there have been, for example, we have debates on the interpretation of Section 33 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which speaks of our rights, to life, and I think right to life. And when you look at this, there have been arguments as to when can an individual enforce his right to life. And then we'll talk about, the one of the defenses to criminal liability, which is self-defense. That, when your life is in danger, that you have the right, or yes, to defend yourself, to save your own life. And the issue relating to preservation of life can only be done in such circumstances, not when the individual has been killed. When the individual has been killed, he cannot defend himself. Such argument can come up as to what can amount to self-defense? What can an individual do? To what extent can an individual defend himself in order to achieve, the protection of his own life? The good thing about it is that journals and periodicals help in accommodating these debates in our, legal ecosystem, so as to, of course, have new ideas, new arguments that aid, the development of our law. The fourth purpose of legal right of journals or periodicals is that it provides guidance for practitioners and academics as well. The good thing about it is that it provides, it brings about clarity on complex legal issues. We'll talk about oil and gas law, talk about environmental law, talk about even our constitutional issues. Journals or periodicals provide guidance for academics, even it provides same for judges, even for students as well, because also students also engage in legal research, either to answer a particular academic issue or request, or even, maybe to participate in debates or in other legal writings. But the point here remains that one of the major purposes of journals or periodical is that it provides guidance for us on all of this. Aside providing clarity to complex legal issues, it also offers drafts or precedent for contracts, for pleadings, and even legal reforms. Okay, so it's not just for the purposes of just reading alone, but it does provide, all of those support. Then academic analysis. It provides, it also aids academic analysis, and that's why a topic can be engaged. And then books or plethora or many journals or articles can be produced. Why? Because different scholars will have their different opinion, different analysis, which eventually they put out to express their own views. And of course, when they put them out, they are put out for people to read, for or even other scholars to also read, in order to gain more knowledge, on the same subject. Another purpose is law reform. I think I've discussed this extensively earlier on, but that's one of the purposes. Then also for current development, it brings about updates on recent happenings in the society. When there are new legislation, recently there were quite a lot of statutes, tax statutes that were churned out, And then there have been reviews on such tax laws as to its suitability for a system like ours, and so many other factors as such. It helps in pushing out current development, which but does not include but not limited to recent cases, legislation, and even policy changes. Okay, brings about also bring it to light, bring all of those things to light. Number 8 is criticisms and commentaries. This is one of the major purposes of periodicals and journals, in that it helps to point out errors that may exist in various submissions that must have been made. And of course, two individuals are not bound to agree on the same point. There can be several points, provided all are making legal sense. They can always help to form or to develop our jurisprudence. Also, we'll talk about comparative study. It can help to compare happenings in Nigeria with happenings in other jurisdictions. Maybe the law on rape in Nigeria and the law on rape in South Africa. If these articles or periodicals are available, it can help to compare even rights of students in Nigerian universities, rights of students in South African universities. All of these the journals and periodicals can help to achieve. Then also it provides research support. At one point or the other, you will need to also write legal, do some legal writings. These journals, periodical, serve to provide references for scholarly and professional research. Okay, all of these are the purposes. And then, even though we have the things, they are not limited to what we have on our screen. Now, we have types of legal periodicals. Number 1, we have scholarly journals, we have professional journals, we have law reports as periodicals, we have magazines and letters, newsletters, and we also have student law reviews. Other types, but we are going to focus mainly on these 3. Going to focus more on these 5 types, and we discuss them in order to for us to understand what we are dealing with in this particular class. Now, let's take them one after the other. Scholarly journals. These are usually published by universities or law faculties, and they contain articles written by professors, legal scholars, and even students. Okay, we have different articles or reviews done in University of Lagos alone. Of course, we have the University of Lagos Law Review. Even we have even at the departmental level, we have the Jurisprudence and International Law Review. The same also applies to other departments, the public law, and even the private and property law. Then all of these form what we refer to as scholarly journals. What of professional journals? This includes journals published by professional bodies like the NBA, but they are less academic on this. They are less academic and more practice oriented. What that means is that they review or they showcase the happenings in the society. Okay, so example of a professional journal, we have the Nigerian Bar Journal. Number 3, law reports as periodicals. Now, although mainly law reports are meant for reporting cases, but they are published periodically, and then that brings them under this particular discussion. Okay, we see the Nigeria Weekly Law Report, we see all Nigerian law reports. Some of these are different.
Which you do not like food. Do you know like a little who do I want to like?
As the case may be. Oluwaseun Owolabi, please be careful. Yes, Ademola Oriola, you have a question? Ademo Oriola, you have a question?
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, we can't hear the examples of professional journals well, sir. The examples you cited.
I said the Nigerian Bar Journal. The journals produced by the various MBAs, they fall under the professional journals. Okay? All right.
Yes, sir.
So we have magazines and newsletters. Legal news updates will come under this. Policy changes and professional trends will also come under this particular type of legal periodicals. And lastly, we have student law reviews. In some law faculties, they have, student law review. So these are just types of law reviews that we have. Then we move on to see how to use periodicals and journals. Now, there is no strict rule as to this.
Okay, let me give you because I was paying your phone for like that, so then it's like I'm like I think you sorry about it. I just like I mean no, what did it happen?
But we are going to provide a guide as to how periodicals and journals can be engaged in legal writing. Of course, the first thing is to ascertain what the topic of the research is all about. And once that is done, which is the number 1 point, once that is achieved, then other step or other ways we now follow. So the first one is to search to determine the topic And if you have a topic to be dealt with, usually you, by searching the internet, you can go ahead to search by using the topic. If I have to do a legal writing on negligence, for example, I can engage any of the search engine to generate for me articles that have been published on this subject. And once you input the name, the word, Edward, then they come out. But we have to go to the library. You can use the library catalog or online databases like I just explained. You can engage JSTOR, you can engage the N online and LexisNexis. Okay, LexisNexis is another place where you can search an article by topics. Okay, the first one is to read book reviews. And in doing this, some of these reviews deals with the topic that have already been discussed in the articles or even in the journals. And all of these, the reviews provide further insights to the legal work to be done. Because in that review, you may have opinion, we may have objections that may be raised on these issues. And no objection is to be discarded because one doesn't to be 100% fit for purpose. It is from legal review, legal argument, suggestions here and there that you can achieve, having more knowledge on a particular subject, which can be deployed in the use of legal research. Also, another way you can use periodicals is to engage the use of citations. When such journals are written, they have their own unique identification number, which can be deployed in in locating such an article and then making use of them in the course of your academic work. And the last but not the least there is to stay updated. Regular reading keeps you informed about changes in law. And of course, we have established that one of the characteristics of law is that law is dynamic. And what brings about this dynamism is the fact that the society is not stagnant. Daily or oftentimes, there are developments based on the need of the society. And when we have these needs, the law sometimes can change. And I gave a popular example of when, at a certain time in our life and the nation, kidnapping was the order of the day. The legislature had to go back to work to enact new law on kidnapping with a focus on having a more severe punishment for those who are wanting in that act of kidnapping. And then if you are only familiar or you only know the punishment that the offense carries a year before, if you are not abreast with the current development, you will not provide court or legally, scholarly work. So, with that, we consider the challenges in using periodicals as a secondary legal material. What are the challenges? Number one is that some are difficult to access without subscription. For example, the end online, as beautiful as wonderful as this, access to it is limited, except your institution subscribe to it. You may not be able to have access to it. And the kind of articles that are found therein, articles written by renowned authors, no article is that is not worth its onion can be found there. Just a minute. So some are difficult to access without subscription. Then number two is that the volume of materials can be overwhelming. For example, if you go through the volume, you punch in a particular subject. For example, brief writing. The search engine can deliver to you 200 articles within a split of seconds. And then the question is, you even get confused. You wonder how you are going to sift through all of this. And that's why even in research, when you are engaging in research, you discover that for you to have a particular topic treated properly, you will have read several journals or several periodicals. And sometimes when you read them, you don't even, some of the things you read there are not really things that you eventually need. And you still continue to dig further and dig further. Number three is that articles may be theoretical and not directly applicable to the particular or the specific case or cases that you are trying to address. Okay? But of course, it is still of more benefit to us that we have more of these resources than having them in field. Number four is that it may not reflect binding legal authority, unlike what we have in case law and statutes. Some of them may provide opinions, but of course, whether they provide opinions or not, they are also useful in some form. I believe that judges sometimes will look at them in order to also guide them in the course of their assignment. And the last one is sometimes they are opinionated and controversial. Yes, these are challenges that are common to it. But the truth of the matter also is that we do not expect all views to be the same. If all the views are the same, then it's going to be a boring affair. Then everybody will just head in one direction. But when we have diverse of opinion, it of course make the argument to be more robust. But these are the identified challenges that we can say as it relates to periodicals or the usage of periodicals. So we are going to look at the last subtopic under this discourse, which is referenced books. Okay, and this also is another legal material that we need to consider so that we also learn how they are applicable to our legal journey. Okay, so we will be considering reference books as the last topic that we're going to handle on regarding application of legal materials. Of course, so far we have dealt with dealt with research, and then the last one we looked at today was journals and periodicals. So we look at this before we bring the class to a close. Or in the alternative, let's stop here for today so that we can create time for questions and so that we don't rush the topic. Okay, let's have Gideon Adekunle to ask his question.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Thank you, sir, for the class. Sir, you mentioned something about the challenges in accessing periodicals and journals, and you said that some are difficult to access without subscription. So I would love to ask, are there any alternatives to evade such challenge? Like I also face the same thing when it comes to accessing online keys, like Law Pavilion, Keys Reader. So is there any alternative sites we can use? Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you for your question. I'm not aware of any alternative that is free, except for the general Google platform and other search engines. And except the university subscribes to all of those things. Of course, they are quite expensive, but they are also needed. But of course, many things will dictate whether or not they will be subscribed to and all of that. But again, if you do your research properly online, you can have alternatives. And it's not that apart from those paid subscriptions that you cannot access good journals on other platforms. That's not the case. You can, but of course, those that are paid subscription, you can be sure that the articles that you find there will be of a great use to you. Why I want to take other questions, please, the chat box has been opened. Any attendance has been put in before 4:56, those attendance are invalid. So please, the floor is open. Kindly put in your mat number and name right now. And it is one attendance per one device. So please take note. Okay, do we have any other question? Any other question? Okay, no. All right. So in the absence of Gideon, Adekunle,
Yes, sir. Okay.
please go ahead if you have a question.
Okay, sir. Unilag, when you were mentioning types of legal periodicals, you mentioned student law reviews and scholarly journals. So I would love to ask that is Unilag Law Review a type of student law review, or it is a scholarly journal, or it is a mixture of books? Because I know that both of them are written by students. So which class does it fall under?
The ones that are written by students are purely student journals. Just a minute. I need to know these people that are making serious noise on this platform.
I think I prepared some stuff.
Omowumi Ogun.
So nice.
Omowumi Ogun. Okay, that's noted. Okay. Adekunle, was I able to answer your question? Like I said, we have various journals in the University of Lagos, but those that are student journal are particularly labeled as such. Okay, they are labeled as such. So um, student journals are quite different from journals published by professors or departmental journals, even though students in the department can also provide or bring in their journal, but definitely the word student journal will be there. Okay. All right. Any other question? Ngozi
Good
Esiago.
evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir. Please,
Yeah.
I want to ask because you said lawyers they also make their views on cases, current cases. Can students, do we also have that ability? Can we also put in our thoughts on the outcomes of cases and in
You
what
are not
platform
limited.
are we?
Is that what? On what platform?
Yes, how are we able to do this, especially as
Okay.
UNILAG students?
All right. One of the number one, you can provide your thought on those cases. The good thing about it is that you are getting to learn the law, to know the law, and in the course of your reading and research, you may even come across views that contradict the decisions reached in those judgments, which you can also throw up. The fact that you throw up an argument or a criticism about a particular judgment does not make the judgment bad. It doesn't also make your own position to be right or bad. But in all of those scholarly work, there will always be something that is being added to our body of knowledge. So students can also, like 400 level or 500 level students of law now, who have been taught land law or who have are offered landlord and tenant as a course, can provide a legal opinion or view about judgment relating to such area of law. So as to what platform, if if you have your student journal but is active, it can be published there. Apart from that, there are different online platforms where if you do your research properly, where you can provide your opinion, even to the point that sometimes you even publish your opinion on your Facebook page. It's a message to the whole world, and you don't know who can come across it and see it as a useful tool. And then we, you know, will be used and also become part of our legal jurisprudence. Okay.